If there was ever a moment where the UFC heavyweight division felt like it had been tilted off its axis, it was June 21st of 2025 when UFC President Dana White confirmed in a post-fight press conference that Jon Jones had officially retired.
Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired.
But while Jon Jones walks away, someone else is walking into the throne room as the new king, and his name is Tom Aspinall. Despite his heavyweight frame, Tom Aspinall moves like a ninja. Explosive, fluid footwork, lightning reflexes, and the best part is he is sharp with his finishes. He doesn't just win, he demolishes his opponents. With a near perfect finish rate and the UFC heavyweight title around his waist, he's already rewriting what it means to be a big man in the Octagon. 100% of his UFC wins coming by stoppage, the quickest average fight time in UFC heavyweight history, clinical striking, elite jiu-jitsu. Tom Aspinall is the full package. And now with Jon Jones out of the picture, the question is simple. Who can stop Tom Aspinall? And more importantly, how long before this man becomes the most dominant champion the division has ever seen? Let's take a closer look. It's time to break down what makes him so dangerous and what's next for the man who might dominate the heavyweight division for years to come. Tom Aspinall's journey to the UFC was anything but typical. Born in 1993 in the Greater Manchester area in England, fighting was in his DNA. Tom was introduced to martial arts at a young age, thanks to Andy Aspinall, his father, who was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. Tom was on the mats before most kids learned to ride a bike. By age 6, he was already drilling submissions. By 11, he was blending striking, wrestling, and grappling into something that didn't quite look like any one martial art. It was raw, but it was also special. Teenage Tom didn't just dabble, he immersed himself. Boxing here, jiu-jitsu there, wrestling every chance that he got. And when he joined the legendary Team Koban, home to UFC veterans, his future started taking shape. By 18, Tom was tipping the scales at over 230 pounds. And he wasn't just big, he was fast, he was sharp, and he was technical. On the amateur circuit, he became a nightmare. Submissions, knockouts, it didn't matter. He had the rare ability to dictate where the fight happened. Want to wrestle? He'll choke you out. Want to strike? Good luck staying conscious. His pro debut came in 2014 against Michael Piszczek, and it was a glimpse of what was to come. Tom reversed the takedown, took top position, and started dropping elbows like hammers on wet concrete. The referee had no decision but to step in. The next few fights were quick, violent reminders that Tom Aspinall wasn't here to play decision games. He racked up 3 wins in just over a minute combined. Opponents barely broke a sweat before they were staring at the lights. But then, reality struck. In 2015, against an experienced judoka, Stuart Austin, Tom made a mistake. He got caught in a leg lock and tapped. His first taste of defeat stung him to his core, and it sent him back to the drawing board. After some setbacks, including a disqualification for an illegal elbow, Tom's career hit a strange pause. Fights fell through, life got complicated, he became a father, then found out twins were on the way. Suddenly, chasing MMA glory didn't seem so practical, so Tom pivoted to boxing. Not just casually, he actually ended up sparring with none other than Tyson Fury for over a year. Tom sharpened his hands with the heavyweight king himself, and it shows. His striking isn't just powerful, it's calculated, it's patient, and it's terrifyingly precise. Eventually, his dad pulled him back to the MMA. It wasn't long before UFC scouts noticed, and by 2019, Tom Aspinall was ready for the big leagues. When he made his UFC debut in 2020, he was facing Jay Collier, a veteran fighter with more experience in the promotion. Tom moved like a man 2 weight classes lighter. Then, he uncorked with a knee and a combo that turned Collier into a statue. This fight lasted only 45 seconds, but it was enough for the MMA world to take notice. Tom Aspinall dismantled Collier with a combination of lightning-fast strikes, and his performance earned him a Performance of the Night bonus. It was a statement. Aspinall wasn't just in the UFC to make up the numbers, he was there to dominate. Next came Alan Baddoo, and it was the same story. It was fast, it was brutal, and it was clinical. 94 seconds later, Aspinall had another finish and another bonus check. But then came the real test. former champ, Andrei Arlovski. And this was no easy feat. Arlovski had been in the game for over 20 years, yet Aspinall made it look easy, securing the win in under 3 minutes. Tom didn't panic when his punches didn't put Arlovski away. Instead, he switched gears mid-fight and he changed his levels. He hit a perfect takedown and he finished him with a rear naked choke. That adaptability, that is championship material. After Arlovski, it was Sergey Spivak. He was big, he was strong, and he was on a win streak. But Tom didn't care. He pieced him up on his feet. He stuffed some takedowns like they were child's play, and he finished him with some elbows and punches in under 3 minutes. By now, the pattern was clear. Tom Aspinall wasn't just winning. He was running through guys like they were regional amateurs. And then came his first main event in London, and it was against Alexander Volkov, a 6'7" monster with over 40 fights to his name. People expected a war, but Tom, well, he gave them a masterclass. He mixed strikes, takedowns, and ground control like a veteran, and tapped Volkov with a straight arm lock in round 1. That's when everyone knew that this guy is different. The heavyweight division had a new contender, and Aspinall's stock was rising pretty fast. But just as he was beginning to make his mark, disaster struck. In 2022, Aspinall faced Curtis Blades, a dangerous wrestler with elite cardio and some heavy hands. The fight started fast, then it happened. Tom's knee blew out 15 seconds into the first round, and just like that, his momentum screeched to a halt. The injury was brutal. It was a torn MCL and his meniscus, a whole year on the shelf. The road back from an injury like Aspinall's is never easy, and for a fighter of his level, it's even harder. Many feared that this injury might derail his career. It had already taken out so many fighters in the past, but Tom, well, luckily he's built differently. His determination to return stronger than ever was solid, and in 2023, Tom returned after nearly a year-long recovery like nothing happened. Facing Marcin Tybura, a gritty veteran at the time, he ended things in just 73 seconds with a blistering combo.
Double legs right there.
Oh, nice elbow.
Not only had he returned from a potentially career-ending injury, but he had done so in devastating fashion. Aspinall was no longer just an up-and-coming fighter, he was a legitimate threat in the heavyweight division. Then came the call that every fighter dreams of, a shot at gold. Jon Jones was out injured, the UFC needed an interim title fight. The opponent was Sergey Pavlovich, a Russian powerhouse with 6 straight first-round knockouts, a man who hits like a sledgehammer falling from space. Tom accepted on 2 weeks' notice in Madison Square Garden against the scariest guy in the division at the time. No tune-up fights and no excuses. What happened next? Tom Aspinall knocked Pavlovich out in 69 seconds.
This will pay dividends.
That wasn't just a win, that was the statement to the entire division. But then the stage was set. Tom Aspinall now only has one person standing in his way, the UFC heavyweight champion, Jon Jones. Now we all know where that led to. A lot of hype, a lot of praise, a lot of back and forth, a lot of one says this and another says that, but we ended up getting nothing. The fight never happened. Tom Aspinall could never step into the Octagon to face the Great One. Jon Jones retired, and that meant that the fans never got the super fight that they wanted. Without Jon Jones, the path forward for Tom Aspinall is clear, but it won't be easy. He'll face new challenges, new fighters, and a lot of other rising heavyweights. The likely scenario is that he is going to dominate this division. And based on what we've seen so far, are, Tom Aspinall walks into almost every single fight as the favorite, and that is why so many people were looking at him versus Jon Jones. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen right about now. With the UFC spotlight now firmly on him, the UFC is bound to position him as the golden boy in the heavyweight division. Now, Tom Aspinall has a perfect finish rate of 100%, with an average fight time of under 3 minutes. Nobody else in heavyweight moves like him. Nobody blends boxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu this smoothly. And here's the kicker, he's only 32 years old. And while most heavyweights peak late, Tom is just entering his prime. His fight IQ, his conditioning, and his adaptability make him a nightmare matchup for almost anyone. And this division is his for the taking. But the question remains, will Aspinall's body and his mentality hold up? The heavyweight division has claimed many promising careers, and injuries are a common theme among top contenders. And Tom has already overcome one major injury, but a sustained run at the top will require consistency and durability, two things that every heavyweight must prove. Beyond that, we could be looking at the most dominant heavyweight run since prime Cain Velasquez, or even better. Tom's size, his speed, and his skill set aren't just elite, they're unfair. He looks like a cheat code in the Octagon. Unless the division produces a once-in-a-generation phenomenon soon, or Jon Jones decides to come out of retirement so that he can actually challenge Tom Aspinall, well, Aspinall's reign might last pretty long, or as long as he wants it to. But the only question left is, how long before we stop asking, what would have happened if Jon Jones came up against Tom Aspinall? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Also, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on those bell notifications so that you never miss out on some UFC content. I'm Ty, and I will catch you on the next one.